Every once in a while, a band emerges that pulls in all corners with just equal aplomb. One such band emerged in 1970. Their name was Gravy Train, who, in their most quintessential moments, could out-tall Jethro Tull, out-Sabbath Black Sabbath, and out-Mail John Mayall. And from their self-titled debut album, Gravy Train, the track Enterprise. So far, we've got the kind of like this almost like Neanderthal like precision and cadence and just heaviness, like, and of course, yeah, it's kind of like bringing all kinds of like 1970 like caveman type rock qualities to mind, like variations in G. Those breathy vocals I had forgotten about. We got two vocalists going on here, yeah. I need you. I think you're fine. I need you. Please taste my wine. Fly with me to lands unknown. Stay with me till I have gone. I gotta say, I'm really impressed by these changes in cadence and tempo. There have been several so far. Having not listened to this track in a while, I had forgotten just how fluid it can be at times. Like, thinking that the more kind of rougher segments were more the span, stock, and trade. At least on this album, anyway. The second one was a bit more country influenced at times. But yeah, so far we've gone through kind of like the plotting section, then the more just kind of like actually, if I would say that I tend to associate this band as being kind of more rock than roll. But they're rolling quite well in this passage. 'Cause I love that tall like melodic motif right there that's like framing these passages, and then we had that like fluid section with the running bass line. So far, it seems like they're taking different. I'm having a hard time pinpointing the format of this song, but it's unconventional. It's not like ABC form or it's not even necessarily sweet. Like it seems to be like ideas from several kind of different song ideas, just kind of almost kind of patched together in a way. 5/4. So you surprised if this arrangement, aside from the obvious toll comparisons, is somewhat influenced by 21st century schizoid man. I'm thinking like those distorted vocals at times and such, and just this like odd metered like framework we've got going, and like heavy and. I like that they're finally like settling into a passage and letting it sink in, and like for a bit there I was starting to think that they kind of had sort of attention deficit disorder, but they're letting this groove really set in. I noticed that the drummer's kind of hitting the odd beats. He's like hitting the 3 and the 5. Or there's like kind of like like a 5 bashes per bar, kind of like on the cymbal, but he's like accenting he's hitting like the. Yeah, he's hitting like the snare, like on the 3 and 5. Almost forgot about the lyrics to this. Let's see what they're about. I need you, you're wonderful. I need you, so wonderful. I need you, I think you're fine. I need you, please taste my wine. Fly with me to lands unknown. Stay with me till I have gone. Easy, you find an enterprise, realize, but it shan't be tried. So you and your ship can sail a sea you no more. Easy, you find an enterprise, realize, but it shan't be tried, so you and your ship can sail a sea you know more. So it's about, it's just about taking a ride with someone somewhere on a venture. Yeah, it could be read as romantic. It could be read as business. It's one of those tracks, I think, that's open to interpretation. I'm thinking that the key to the whole entire meaning of the song might be contained in the line, so you and your ship can sail a sea you no more. If you can parse that line. Guitar tone, it just sort of oozes, has kind of like a light fuzziness, kind of a restrained, but it's also really strong, really thick at the same time. the bassist is just kind of doubling up on the guitarist, like providing kind of like a low end support. I guess that one kind of fluid section I pointed out earlier was the only time that he really stepped out into his own thing. Okay, that was Gravy Train with Enterprise from their self-titled first album, released in 1970 on the Vertigo Squirrel label, I believe anyway. Yeah, Vertigo Squirrel. Of course, yeah, those classic releases. And the band is comprised of Norman Barratt on vocals and lead guitar, J.D. Hughes on flute, and Barry Davenport on drums, and Leigh Williams on bass. And let's see, did any of these guys go on to... Gravy Train did 4 albums between 1970 and 74. Let's see, did any of these guys do anything else? Barrett has 86 credits according to Discogs. Yeah, well, credits can get double. Oh, he was on that Mighty Flyers record from 1976, Christian band. Oh, he was on Mandela Band's The Eye of Wonder. That's interesting to know. And it looks like he got more involved in CCM, in the world of contemporary Christian music. I'm seeing these names like Alwine Wall, Sheila Walsh, Adrian Snell, Steve Camp. Yeah, he apparently went the Christian music route. The flutist J.D. Hughes, his musical activities seem to be limited to Gravy Train. Bassist Leigh Williams, same thing. Appeared on an album by the Barratt Band in the 80s, so the Leaders Band, which I'm imagining to be Christian influence. Barry Davenport, the drummer, pretty much limited to Gravy Train. Yeah. Let's hear one more song from this Gravy Train album, Think of Life.
What are you laughing for? What's up?
All the things that you just gotta love about 1970 when you approach the year with sympathy towards like the place that the English music scene was at the time. I mean, things were just hard rock was just evolving out of the blues rock of the John Mayall school, and elements of folk were being worked into various like other like post Pepper, post Cream strands, post Hendrix strands of music, and the chips hadn't quite fallen in place yet, and so there was no clearly defined symphonic rock, proto metal, folk rock. It was all just kind of, and so you had these bands that were just kind of a bit of everything, and bands were trying to expand beyond the confines of like beat era, ABC structured, melodic pop rock. And so bands were trying to be less overtly catchy because they were trying to explore other areas of like rhythm, of like heavy beats, bone crushing guitar figures, and with kind of more of like a less restrained kind of let it all hang out vibe, and this kind of like cling clang cadence that you would often encounter in a lot of 1970s, in a lot of music from 1970, was kind of like a byproduct of that. There were at times there were bands like there was oftentimes like an emphasis on like pensive, minor key kind of locked grooves at times, like where bands were almost trying to challenge the listener to hold on. They in a way, and sometimes the bands were trying to be kind of like deliberately ugly to see if they could in the tones that they explored. Yeah, it was like an exploration of dirt, grime, all the things that you were not supposed to have in respectable entertainment. You see a lot of dirty tones going on here. I'm starting to question whether the lyrics to this album, whether to the last set of lyrics that I read for Enterprise, and this one too, may have more of a religious kind of undertone. I will be. We'll find out more about that as things go on. Think of life when you talk of what to do. Think of life when you speculate on points of view. There are people everywhere with your theories much to wear. Those who never give a damn and want everything with jam. Think of life, the future straight ahead. Think of life, be positive in retrospect. Let's see. Think of life when you think of you and me. Think of life, contemplate your life so free. There will surely come a day when your memories drift away. Think of things you never had, little good and not so bad. Think of life when you talk of what to do. Think of life when you speculate of words so few. There are people everywhere with grand theories much to wear. Those who never give a damn and want everything with jam. He seems to be contrasting the people who appreciate what they have and prepare for the future, and those who don't. Those who take things for granted, who want everything now and don't foresee where that kind of mindset might lead them in the end. Although things remain the same, you have got to name the game. It's no easy thing to do. One can't find what to pursue. Kind of like a D sharp tonality is pervading there. Section here, like really driving with that like oozing kind of fuzzy tone, warm, and like a like much more of like a conventional like vocal melody from the singer, like an actual hook. Well, he's really stretching it out and really putting a lot of passion and grit into it. He might not have the best singing voice in the world or the most attractive one, but you can tell that he really feels the lyrics and the message that he's putting across. And like that main vocal, that melody, that da 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 da, that just take this section out and kind of wrap it in a more conventional ABC song structure. 4 years earlier, this could have been like a freak beat, Mersey beat type song. Like, yeah, dress it up a bit more, fine tune the edges. Yeah, I am actually hearing kind of a pop song in here. Hear him just like, oh, the way he curls and twists and just stretches certain vowels. Let's hear the lyrics that. Let's explore these lyrics that he's so passionate about here. Think of life, the future straight ahead. Think of life, be positive in retrospect. Um, Although things remain the same, you have got to name the game. It's no easy thing to do. One can't find what to pursue. So you're free, but you cannot get away from thoughts of yesterday. You have fought for your children's life of ease, but they're very hard to please. Think of life and hope for reality. That's an interesting stanza right there, because it deals with the sacrifices that one generation makes for the easier times of the generation that follows, and that generation oftentimes, having not gone through the same kind of struggles, won't appreciate the sacrifices that the prior generation makes, and so they take things for granted. It kind of like invokes the adage, the maxim that hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times create weak men create hard times, like that. And the prior stanza kind of reminds me of something I mentioned in another video a few weeks back about how a YouTuber recently said that that I watched from regularly said recently, a young guy, only about 30, he said that you should be preparing for your old age even when you're young. You should be thinking about the things that you want to do in life, and make a point of trying to do a small piece of each one of those things every day, making sure that you've set aside time each day to and work some of those things that you want to do in life into your daily schedule, because one day, rather than wait until you're 70 and panicking and realizing, oh, I only have X amount of years left to do all the things I want to do in life, yeah. And so the last stanza, let's see, so you're free, but you have no guiding hand. Your time wastes away like sand. You have stood for respectability, and all that makes you free. Think of life and hope for reality. So you're free, but you cannot get away. You cannot get away. And it repeats that. You're free. hear that oozing tone, the way it's just, it's kind of got like that early Robert Fripp type tone. Yeah, big crunchy booming riffs, and then these real kind of thick lumbering uh, progressions, and then these combinations of like oozing fuzzy guitar tone and flute is what really makes Gravy Train, is kind of what gives them just their designation within the oftentimes rough and cumbersome sonic valleys and hills of 1970, the year of big, thick, heavy, bone crunching rock exploding out of almost like the volcanic lava of the blues rock outgrowth of the late 60s, colliding, of course, with elements of folk and symphonic rock, which would congeal more clearly over the following 2 years. Yeah, Gravy Train. The track Think of Life from their 1970 self-titled debut album, or you could say Gravy Train, because the title of the album has 4 exclamation marks after it. Yeah, they would do 3 more albums over the next 4 years, 1 more on Vertigo and then 2 on Dawn. For more Rubies and Sapphires from the catalog of Gravy Train, see the directory of albums by English G artists, linked in the description below, for red hot tracks and tasty purples from this album and the 3 after it. And similar artists from this time frame, as well as very different ones, for that matter, in the English in the G letter of the alphabet. You know, bands like The Greatest Show on Earth, Galliard, Gigafo, Groundhogs, Genesis, Gentle Giant. Yeah, the list goes on and on. Like and subscribe and follow me on social media, and leave a comment if there are any observations you have about the 2 tracks that we just heard, the lyrics, the instrumentation, the riffing, the soloing, which passage stood out to you, and interpretations of the lyrics if you have any. And until next time, this is Zaragon, the world's most ear travel maximalist, signing off.